Yep. That's what it says.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the wicked awesome Live Before Lock show for the U.S. Open. Yes, I am busting out all of my Northeast New England lingo tonight on the show. I can't wait to go back home, in quotation marks, as I'm joined by my co-host, Ben Rasa. Ben, I am probably the most excited I've been for a major championship that isn't a Masters in years. I'm obsessed with this golf course. I have been forever. I never got to play it. You know, I'm not that cool in the golfing world. But nonetheless, we're set up for an amazing event. And right off the top, we've got some drama. And the drama has to revolve around my favorite player, Jordan Spieth, this week. As it was reported this morning that he left the driving range with a reported illness. But I want to start off the show with a little conspiracy theory here. As one of Jordan Spieth's best friends, Rickie Fowler, happens to be the first or second alternate in the field this week. And he's supposedly going to LIV Tour. Is Jordan Spieth trying to save Rickie Fowler's PGA Tour career by giving him a spot here this week? Ben, I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, that's I'm not sure how giving Rickie 2 rounds is really going to help him. I thought you were going to go the other way and say that Rickie, they're probably in the same house. Maybe Rickie cooked dinner and poisoned him. But as Chat was pointing out, it'll be interesting. We don't know. It's something we have to keep an eye on. I'll get right to it. I'm not changing what I'm doing with Spieth. I wasn't heavily invested in him to begin with, but he's still in my player pool just because I think there's an element that this could have been precautionary.
Could have been precautionary, could be absolutely wrong. Now, where we're getting this report from first, and let's be clear, is from Colt Knost. He mentioned it on his podcast this morning. I have tweeted at him a couple of times to give us an update from the Spieth camp. I would love it by tonight before I go to bed at 2:00, because I know when I wake up at 6:30 in the morning tomorrow, I really don't want to global swap all into Will Zalatoris. I'd like to spread it out, between Cantlay and such. What am I doing different? He goes from the number 2 owned golfer in my player pool, Ben, to like the number 8. Again, it's a product of what's around him as well, right? Will Zalatoris could be in line for his first major championship win. And we got Shane Lowry that you and I talked about down below that. And then we got kind of Matsuyama mixed in, which we're doing a little bit of a rankum here. So, Tyler, we're going to maybe even re-go over this because I do have this as an exact rankum. So let's just table that for a second, Ben. Table that talk. Say thanks to Prize Picks for the sponsor of this show, the new Skotastic Live Before Lock. Yes, it is our new name. I love it. It is all-encompassing of what we are about here as the former Awesemo.com. So enjoy that with us. Join us in celebrating our new name. So, okay, let's move on now to a couple of other notes before we dive into the players. Withdraw Paul Casey. I think most people have already heard about that. Let's talk about the weather draw that may or may not be taken advantage of. I think more showdown here. Looks like it's going to be heaviest winds of the first 2 days on Thursday afternoon. And then Friday morning does look like it is more heavy than Thursday morning. So maybe a quarter of a shot to a half a shot advantage. Ben, do you want to get involved with it this week? Justin Thomas was in the bad weather draw at the PGA and won. So we really can't look that much into it.
I don't think it's a huge deal. Again, if you're building a bunch of teams, I would strongly suggest T-stacking some of them for the afternoon wave and T-stacking some of them for the morning wave just because. But as you talked about, and I think in particular, when you get into tournaments where it's going to be super difficult, even if you're in the wrong wave, if you make the cut, you can make up so much ground over the weekend. If you hang a red number, you're going to vault up the board. And in some ways, we have seen this time and time again, going out early on Saturday, not being in the hunt could actually be where you want to be. So I really don't think it's that big a deal. It's not affecting my builds.
Yeah, you're bringing me flashbacks, horrific flashbacks of the Finau Berger Fleetwood at Shinnecock Hills.
Remember that?
They just snuck through the cut line and Saturday morning went out and shot. They might have even all shot even par and were at the top of the board by the end of the day. I think the one main difference between Brookline the Country Club and Shinnecock and some of these other U.S. Open venues is we definitely have 4 scoring holes. There are 4 scoring holes that are going to be that way all day, every day. Drivable par 4, they can't make that any longer. The shorter par 5, they can't make that any longer as well. So I think we should get some opportunities to score regardless. All right, now let's go ahead and dive into our players. We covered the 3 Ws. So let's go into our top rank them here, Ben, this week. We've got some really, really good ones. Obviously, it's the majors. So we're going to have to decide between everybody. So in this first one, we're doing a little differently. These are going to be the top 3 owned studs of the week. And you get to choose from Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, and Xander Schauffele this week. To be clear, Rory is in the morning wave. Xander and Justin, I believe, are in the afternoon wave. I'm sure chat will let me know if I'm wrong in that.
Xander, I'm pretty sure he's playing with Rory. He's right next to him.
Oh, wait. Yes, he is. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right.
But JT, absolutely in that afternoon wave. It's not because of that I'm going to rank him this way, but that might be a little part of it. I'm going to go Rory to Xander to Justin Thomas. We saw Rory just pull off a victory. Obviously, Xander and his U.S. Open pedigree, he's playing much better. It's not to say that JT's playing bad golf. He just added another major to the resume. The one difference is that JT, to me, is most likely to get into some trouble off the tee. Now, his short game is immaculate. There's no doubt about it. We're splitting hairs. He's the most expensive. And to me, he's slightly below the other 2. For that reason, with them all popular, he would be on the bottom of that list.
Yeah. Now, does lowest ownership affect that at all?
So certainly the tools here at Stochastic are super important with that. We talk about that all the time, about why we need to be cognizant of the ownership. And I'll be honest, the ownership is wild this week. A lot of surprises there. I don't think it's enough to move me off. We still have Justin Thomas in the teens right now. He's going to be the lowest of the 3, but it's not like he's Morikawa levels where he's like 5% and Rory's 25%. That would probably do it for me. But right now I'm holding steady.
I think it's adamant and very clear that Rory is taking this personal. And when Rory is on a mission, when Rory is motivated and in form, truthfully, I think he's one of the best ever. I mean, I've seen the way he's hit the ball for years now. And when this guy is in top form and he's motivated, I really do think he's one of the best ever. So he's going to be really hard for me to bet against this week. The fact that Spieth has these illness concerns, it's probably going to up my exposure to Rory just a little bit. I know there's $1,000 price difference, but there's a way that you can obviously come off of it. Maybe means a little less Fleetwood and a little bit more of that Russell Henley, Sepp Straka range. We'll get into that, of course. So Rory's going to be number 1 for me. I love Justin Thomas this week too. I think that this golf course is somewhat similar to last week. So I think they're going to get a lot of the same yardages. So I think I'm going to take him over Xander. Xander's going to get that love again this week, Ben. And when Xander gets really popular, it's hard to get off that train. So I'm going to be slightly under Xander this week and hope that he just doesn't find many fairways. I think that's kind of the goal of what I'm looking for there. All right, let's do the other golfers. This is going to be the pick the other stud. Now, why I say pick the other stud, Ben, because if we are starting with Rory or JT or Xander for that matter, we likely can only get one of these other guys in a lineup, especially if we're building aggressively. So Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, Cameron Smith, or Colin Morikawa. I know the ownership might be low on all of them. So who is your other stud pick here?
It's going to be Jon Rahm. So he needs to fix his around the green game. I think he's going to do that. He has gained in 2 of 3, and he was plus 1.9 at Memorial, but he had lost in 7 straight events around the green earlier this year. And that's just atypical for a guy this good. I still like him. He's a defending U.S. Open champ. I think his game, it wasn't that far where he was the perpetual favorite in all of these tournaments, and he is not anymore thanks to Scotty Scheffler's run. So I'm going to go Rahm first. Oh, man, it gets tough quickly. I'm going to go Rahm, Scheffler, Morikawa, and then Cam Smith. But I want to ask you, as a golfer, I have read some things about Morikawa in terms of draw versus fade versus cut or whatever, and that he is now not able to shape his shot as he normally has. Does stuff like that concern you, or is that just stuff that golfers go through?
There's a saying in golf. Now, maybe it doesn't apply to the professionals as much as it does us amateurs, that once you learn how to draw a ball, it's so hard to go back to a cut. And Morikawa won 2 majors hitting those little 165-yard cuts to front and back right pins where he could just stick them. That's a concern for me because when we talk about it from a statistical standpoint, Morikawa's superpower is his approaches. There is no doubt about it, right? I mean, he's not that good around the green or on the green, nor does he drive it long enough for him to really overcome a, losing strokes gain on the approach thing. Now, we look at the Memorial, it was only 2 rounds. Look at it before that. The irons looked okay, but they didn't look top 5 on tour, Ben. So with that being said, for me, 4% owned is likely where he comes in, 5% owned, something like that in the $15. I think I'll get 10% and live with it. And if he, finds it again like he did at the Masters or chips it in from every other bunker, I'll be thankful. And if he misses the cut, like I think might happen here this week, I'll be okay with that as well. It's only 10% of my lineups. So probably not going to play him on many $100 lineups either, because I actually do think this is a problem. If it wasn't his superpower, I'd be okay with it. But the fact of the matter is he made a name for himself on the PGA Tour as being the best iron player. So I'm going to move him to the bottom of this list. Scotty Scheffler, if he comes in at, say, 5% owned, you got to love that. I mean, the guy has done nothing but perform except for 1 week, the PGA Championship. Cameron Smith, I mentioned to you last week. The guy just scores. After shooting 6 over, he comes out and birdies 5 of his first 6 holes, something like that. That's what he does. I do like him this week. If I had to pick a one-off, I think I'm picking Jon Rahm with you as well. I think we saw at Memorial, he started to get his groove. The iron started to look a little bit better. So I think I'd have to lean Jon Rahm here and even pair him up with either JT or Rory in that aggressive build lineup. All right, let's get into some other pretty important topics this week. This is a what to do without Spieth. Now, we talked a little bit about this. Let's say, Ben, that you had, I'm going to guess you had somewhere between 15 and 20% ownership before this. If you're concerned about it, how much percentage do you want to shift? And what are you doing with that percentage? So I have 4 names listed here: Zalatoris, Matsuyama, Cantlay, and Lowry. Those would be my 4 choices for the ownership to go to. I'll rank them after you do.
Yeah, so I would agree. It looks like you're going to see some of that ownership on Spieth dispersed. To me, the interesting thing is that Dustin Johnson is also right there, and he is garnering practically no ownership. And that is surprising. I know that he's had a very, very poor season in the biggest tournaments, but I still think that Patrick Cantlay has a game that should translate better to majors. He needs to start doing it. There's no doubt. He missed the cut at the Players, 39th at the Masters, and he was beaten by PGA professionals at the PGA Championship. That's just unacceptable for a guy this good. Around that, 4th, 2nd, and 3rd in non-major events. So the game is there. I'm going to go Cantlay over Lowry, over Decky, over Will Z, but these are all popular pivots and very good solid plays in the 9K range.
As long as the tall fescue of Brookline, Massachusetts and the country club doesn't break Will Zalatoris' back, I like him first. I do think he's right on the cusp. His putting looks better. I think I got to stick with this major form. He's one of only 3 other golfers this year that has multiple top 10s in the first 2 majors, or the top 10s in the first 2 majors. I'd say, sorry. JT, the win in the 8th place, and I forgot the other one. I'll think of it off the top. Maybe Jon Rahm? No, he didn't top 10 at PGA. Give me a second. I'll think about that. Zalatoris first, Cantlay second. He's got to break out of this major championship slump. He's too good at golf for that to happen. Yep. Decky's interesting to me because if his iron play is on and he finds more fairways than most of these other studs priced above him, we know his iron game is one of the best. He's had a weird little stretch, a DQ mixed in with withdraw. I think there's just too many question marks where Zalatoris and Cantlay probably provide a little more stability there. But maybe you'd rather skip most of these guys, Ben, and try your luck with one of these low-owned golfers like Viktor Hovland or Dustin Johnson, who I just mentioned. And as maybe even now Jordan Spieth, because of this news, he ends up coming low-owned. So where would you want to go with those 3, given Spieth actually does tee off?
Yeah, I mean, so this is where it gets interesting. And tournament selection, again, that's one of the many things we have here, because I don't know. I don't have the stones to play these guys in single entry, higher stakes, anything like that. I just don't see it. Hovland is a player, but he truly has, not for the elite players, just in this field, he is one of the worst around the green players in the entire field. And I don't know how he doesn't get himself, even today, and I know it's just anecdotal and it's a tweet. I saw a tweet of someone who was around Brookline saying that Hovland left a chip in the rough 3 straight times. And I just think he's going to get in trouble over and over again. So for me, maybe in the millie, stuff like that. Don't really have interest in him or DJ, though, even at this low ownership. I bet DJ. That was my hedge. He was north of 40-1. I think that price is just good enough to donate some money in the betting world.
I think in the $15 millie maker, if Spieth's ownership is really going to come down off of this, I think that's an opportunity. That's where I'd use
I'd rather play him.
It's a good spot, for sure. Hovland, not only is he awful around the green, but I believe he's a little injured. If you watched him at his last event, I believe the Memorial, he had kinesiology tape like all up and down his right arm and wrist area. So when we take a superpowers of Viktor Hovland that is off the tee and on the approach and bring those down to maybe closer to the field, he's just not good enough on and around the green to make up for it. So until I see that ball striking really come back to form, I don't need to pay $9,700 for him when I got somebody like who we're going to talk about in a second, Joaquin Neiman at $8,900, who hasn't finished worse than 33rd since the Honda Classic, which was a week after the biggest win of his career at the Genesis. So let's move into him. Let's talk about him and 3 other very popular golfers priced in this $8,000. I want you to tell me how you're playing them. It is Joaquin Neiman, Tony Finau, 3,000% owned Sam Burns, and Max Homa. We talked a little bit before the show. I'm sure Burns is going to be in the bottom of this list. Tell me why we need to play the other guys in front of him.
He's not even on the list. He doesn't even come in 4th. He's just not even going to be named. And I know that Eric's in chat. Enjoy it. Soak it up now, because once this guy's exemptions run out, you won't be seeing him in these fields. I hope he goes to live. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. In all seriousness, Burns is a really good player, but no chance I play him at that ownership. It would be Finau first. I love the way he's playing. The price is right. These guys are all going to be popular, as you mentioned. I love Joaquin Neiman. I think he's going to be a major winner at some point. He is a little more expensive, but there's nothing to argue. Hasn't missed a cut since Honda, coming off a 3rd at the Memorial. So I'll go Finau over Neiman, over Homa, and then way behind them, I will have 0% Sam Burns. No chance I play him.
Our buddy Eric Lundqvist is, I don't even want to see his face right now. The jaw is probably on the floor. Before I give you my ranking of the 4, $15 lineup, how many of these guys can we roster?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think that if you're going to do something like Hovland or Dustin Johnson as your starting point, it's okay to pair 2 or 3 of them up. And, you'll have options in the 6K range to be different. You got to leave a little money on the table. What I strongly wouldn't suggest is if you start with Xander, hitting this range and then going to Sanjay, that's going to be a recipe where I don't think you can separate.
How about on the $100 against 20,000-ish entries? Can we get in Xander +1 plus Sanjay?
Probably. Leave money on the table. And if you have someone that's going to be sub 5%, maybe a 2v2, it's definitely more doable there. But I still would caution, you have to realize that you're going to be competing with hundreds of 2v2s probably, no matter who you choose. And that is very difficult because the reality of the situation, and I'll humble brag as someone who's coming second in the millie, the structure is really messed up. Like if you don't win, the second place is 100K. It's a drastic difference. So like these 2v2s, if you come in 7th, you're not getting a flat payout. And so that's something you're really going for the win. You have to be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a really, really good point. All right. My ranking on them, Max Homa has underperformed in major championships. So for me, he goes slightly above Burns, who did break through at the PGA Championship and play a little bit better. So I actually have exposure to all these guys. Finau and Neiman lead it for me. Homa comes in. He comes in pretty decent. I want to give him a chance because I think his game is tailor-made for majors. He's really good at everything when he's in form. That's right now. So I do want to give him a chance. Again, it just takes one event for somebody to get through to a major, and maybe this will be the week for Homa. Again, I do have exposure to all of them, but in most of them, I'm playing them in different $100 lineups, and I'm not playing many of them in the $15 because we're talking about hundreds of thousands of entries that, these guys are going to be in. I know they're going to be 30 or 40% owned, but when you're playing against 200,000 entries, it's pretty damn close. So I'm going to try and differentiate. And if they do good, I'll have a chance in 100. And if they do good, I'll have a chance in the $15. Okay, now to the low owned. Couple of guys that maybe I didn't like before, but I am coming around on one of them. Don't call me a Billy Horschel fan yet, Ben, but I am turning around onto his personality off the golf course. We got to work on it on the golf course for me to actually like him. But I at least like what he has to say off of it, and he's playing good golf. So as a pivot, do you like him this week? Or do you like Daniel Berger or Ty Haddon? Sorry.
I definitely, so I mentioned up top that I'm struggling a little bit to make the pivots off like the Rorys of the world to the DJs and the Hovlands. I'm okay doing it here though, particularly with Berger and Hatton. I know Hatton's playing like garbage, but I still think his game can set up fine here. Berger is another one, hasn't shown up in the majors, but when I look at his game, I think it should translate nicely here. I'm with you with Billy Ho in this regard. The other pivot that's not on your list would be Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
I don't know how you play him. I mean, if you want to blindly back the US Open pedigree, I get it. I have no interest in Brooks. I would play Billy Ho over him every time.
Does the putting looking like it's coming into really good form and or peaking of Brooks Koepka get you interested even just a little?
I mean, his game is all over the place. I think you can make a case. Obviously, listen, the US Open, history doesn't lie, but third at Waste Management, miscut. 16th at Hana, miscut. 12th at Valspar, miscut at the Masters. 55th at the PGA. The stats are all over the map. I just don't see it. If you're building 150 and you want 5% Brooks, sure, live a little. Why not? But to me, you are opportunity costing shares of real legitimate players in Cam Young and Neiman and Fitzy and Berger and Burns. These are real, not Burns, but the rest of them are real players. So I just don't think I can do it. So I didn't even mean to take a shot at Burns there. That was just a Freudian slip.
Just fell right into you.
It's the rest of the range is very, very strong.
All right, before we get on out of this section, I just want to do a couple of things. First, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for joining us here tonight on the Stochastic Live Before Lock show, formerly Awesemo, of course. We'll have some more stuff coming out, if you don't know what the name means, in the next coming of weeks on why we're doing it. It's some really cool stuff. Now, thanks to PrizePicks, the sponsor of our show. Ben, before we got out of, or too far away from talking about the country club, I said, listen, I think there's going to be 4 or 5 really good scoring chances every day. So what I want to do is I want to take advantage of that and take advantage of what's supposed to be a hard event, and I still think it very much will be, and go to PrizePicks and see the line of 3.5 birdies or better for pretty much any golfer you want for the first round. Rory McIlroy is playing so good. I would be shocked if he doesn't make more than 3.5 birdies going out tomorrow morning. So I love to take him. Is there another guy that you think 3.5 birdies is just way too low? You don't care if it's the US Open. If so, who should we pair up with Rory?
Yeah, I think that right next to him, a guy like John Rahm, who's going out early as well. He may make a couple mistakes, but if his around the green game is crisp, he should be able to attack the par fives. And I'm with you. The thing I love about PrizePicks, they allow you to dig into some of the skills that are a little different. I was on the show with Eric yesterday. He was talking about some of the fairways props, some of these drivers, over under like 8.5 fairways. I think those are really interesting. With our promo code, you get that first match deposit bonus. It's a great way to grind up the bankroll. I like that. And those are ones I've been looking at pretty closely on PrizePicks.
All right, ready? Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't see that until just
those
now.
Are fun.
I got Rahm and McIlroy over the 3.5 birdies. That one pays 3-1. Bet 20 wins 60. But I want to add in Bryson DeChambeau under 6.5 fairways. In fact, I want to add in any Bryson DeChambeau under that PrizePicks is offering. 6.5 fairways for round 1 is it. I don't know that Bryson will hit any fairway in round 1. So we add that, Ben, and we get a 5-1 payout. So pretty sweet deal. That's our little segment for Prize Picks. Thank you for the support for the show. A really nice, different way to invest in the tournament this week. There's no sharks, no optimizers, props like Ben and I just mentioned that'll reset every single day. And you can win up to 10x your money if you put 5 players in your lineup. I should go Mathletes, because if you want to join in on the other event going on in Boston tomorrow night, say the NBA Finals, you can couple them up with some stats from there. So some props from there. Check it out. Prize Picks available online or in Google Play or the App Store today. So, all right, Ben, before we go on to our Make the Cut segment, I've got 2 more sections. The high owned under 8K. I have 6 golfers, so I broke it up into 2. Cory Connors, Harold Varner, Davis Riley, and Sungjae Im. Got some names there. Are you going straight to Sungjae, or is this going to be contest-based for you this week?
So, again, I think it's really important that you're looking at the lineups. I think that Sungjae is the best play in this range. To me, it's not even close. He is really owned, though. So you can play him. It doesn't mean, oh, he's popular, now I can't play him. Absolutely not. You just can't play him with 4 other or 5 other chalky guys. That's not going to work. So I still want to get to Sungjae, and I'm trying to when I can. When I can't do it in a lineup, I would go to Varner, who's playing good golf. Not really a strong take on Connors, and I'm going to pass this one to you. I cannot get Davis Riley right. I don't think that this is a good spot, but Davis Riley has proven me wrong time and time again. There's no doubting the talent. I just really have no idea how he'll react with the short game here, but he has been really impressive so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, since Mexico, 5 starts, 5 top 13s, including the T13 at the PGA Championship. Really hard to get away from that. Really hard to get away from that type of form on a golf course that I don't think is going to be overpowering for him. Southern Hills is, by and large longer than this. I don't know, though. U.S. Open, to me, Ben, seems like a little different than the PGA. The rough is going to be longer. The around the green is going to be tougher. So it's tough because Russell Henley, who I feel is a little more battle-tested, maybe not as in good a form, is right there. You've got a couple of other guys. This one's tough. I do have him in my player pool. But for me to rank him, I do. If it's the $100, millionaire maker, I'm going to Sungjae. If it's the $15, I might be avoiding most of them here, Ben, because, maybe a little bit of Varner, but I think there's enough plays in this range where you can diversify away from these guys and still get exposure in other forms.
Yeah. And we should have, this is something I meant to mention at the top of the show, because we have a lot of people hopping in, and I will say it's awesome to see all the people. If you're hopping in for the first time and you want to support the show, easiest way, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, join us. But if you are hopping in and you don't play a lot of golf, typically it's top 65 and ties make the weekend. The US Open is only top 60. So this is an extremely difficult cut. And that makes the chalk even worse because a lot of big time names are going to get cut. So game theory reigns supreme in a lot of these decisions.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Second high owned one. So, we didn't even talk about Cory Connors. I'm okay with him. I'd rather play Sungjae. Similar ownership, right? It's not like you're going to get half the ownership in Connors. So I think I'd rather just go to Sungjae if we're going to do that. You agree?
Yeah, completely. Like I said, Cory Connors is one of those guys. If I landed on him, no problem. But if I could maneuver, I would rather play someone else.
Kevin Stadler, luckily, is not in the
Stadler, I don't know if that's the answer.
All right, let's go to the second part of the high owned here in the 7th. Then we'll get into our Make the Cut. We got Mito Pereira, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin, almost 59 rows, and New England's own Cuppa Chowda, Keegan Bradley. 4 big names this week, or higher owned names down here in the 7s. Do you like them all, or is there someone you could fade among them?
So, of course, these guys set up for various reasons well. Rose, you mentioned 59. It could have been like 54. Like, it was just absurd. He was bogeying par 5s, and he still almost
It was like one of those rounds where if he found the fairway, this is to 3 feet.
It was absurd.
Yeah.
So I will say, so how to rank them. What did I say to you? I hopped in about 10 minutes early before the show. We didn't talk about a lot of golf things. The one thing I told you before the show, I said, Tommy Fleetwood, I feel it in my bones that he's going to miss the cut. And I love him this week. I'm playing him. He scares me, but it sets up so well. And I really hope that he can come through because he is one of the most important players for me. Has not missed a cut since February. The ball striking has been fantastic. So Fleetwood's going to be 1. I'll go Keegan 2, Mito 3, Rose 4, but I think you can make a case for all these guys. Fleetwood by far the most important for me.
Neiman, Fleetwood. If these two guys make the cut, I'll see you at the Travelers. I don't even have to look because honestly, they've played so good since the Honda. Each of them missed on the number at the Honda. That's the weird thing. They both missed on the number at the Honda and have finished no worse than 30th in their next 9 starts. I think Fleetwood might have finished 35th one time. Still, I love these two guys. Expect them to miss a cut because I love them so much this week, and they're not typically my favorites, but that's how it goes. So I'll take Fleetwood with you as well here. I like Mito Pereira. I think I like him over Keegan Bradley this week. Mito gets on these runs of form. We saw it last year through the Olympics. I made note of it in the content, the Winning Element article that I put out. He goes on these runs of form, and we see it with certain types of golfers. We see it with Ches Reavie. Maybe Mito's just, a better Ches Reavie and stays in this form for a while. So I'm going to see it out for Pereira one more week at 7,800. Bradley's going to have likely the most fans cheering for him. Sometimes that can really motivate a player. So I'll have him in my player pool for that. And Justin Rose, dude, you've said it for months now. He is trying to peak 4 weeks out of the year, given how much time he has left at the top level of professional golf. Last week, looked like he was coming into it. He made a tweak to his irons, just a little bit of expecting a little bit more in the rough play this week. At 7,100, I don't hate it. There are plenty of pivots for, the big milli maker, but he will be a part of my player pool for the bigger dollar entries. I think it'd be silly not to. All right, let's go into our Make the Cut segment. And I want to start off right off the top. If you can find this bet somewhere, I am taking the Miss the Cut at it. Can't find it at every shop, but it is Bryson DeChambeau. There's no, I said I was playing 10% of the Memorial. No way. I'm not doing it here. No part of his game is good. I don't know if he's a top 100 golfer in the world right now.
I don't think that Bryson would have set up well if he was even in form. And now we're taking a guy who I didn't like to begin with, and he is not tour caliber. He's going to get there, but he's just not right now. He lost 9 strokes at the Memorial. And the one thing that I've said about Bryson for a long time that I still feel very confident in is the way he approaches the game is great until it's not working. He has a really tough time being able to adjust because he just kind of does what he does. And when it gets off track, how many times have we seen Bryson make a 9 or a 10 where other players would have been able to grind out bogey or double bogey, and he takes himself out of tournaments for that very reason. I do not think he makes the week, and I think it's a pretty swift exit for him.
One of the bets that
Six spots are back. Nice. All right.
What's that?
Chat, you brought in some new fans, a new demographic for Skatastic. That's why we changed the name to bring new loyal listeners to the golf show.
Brandon, I promise I'll give you a punt by the end of the show. I do want to make one note, though, about DeChambeau. Seen a couple of things. One of the things I've seen is Daniel Berger, Louis Oosthuizen, and Bryson DeChambeau. Berger's a plus 135 in that 3-tournament matchup. And according to one of our new tools, our expert golf betting player props tool, it is one of the best expected wins and projected return on investments of the prop bets offered this week. So again, Danny Berger plus 135 against Louis and Bryson. I love it. It's really against Louis. And I think you're going to take Berger plus 135 against Louis pretty much everywhere, right?
Yeah. I think that really looking objectively with Bryson right now, I'm not sure how often he's even able to limit the damage. So I get it. And I think that's a lot of the things over on the OddsShopper channel that we've been talking about, how to identify that value, shopping that. I drop my favorite bet of the day every day in the morning. And I've had some golf bets, and there's some head-to-heads and some things that I like that. So I'm with you.
Okay, Aaron Wise playing so good. DK price is a little bit of a problem. FanDuel price is great. If you're playing at FanDuel, do you just avoid him on DK, or do we play him because he's going to play well this week?
I think you can still play him. He's shown to me that the talent, it can translate. He's not intimidated in majors. In fact, he does some of his best work in the strongest fields, including a runner-up at the Memorial. He's now gained strokes putting in 4 of 5 events. That is the missing link. Aaron Wise is a legitimate top-end player when he does that. So I'm okay with him. I think he belongs with Mito and Fleetwood and those guys.
I do too. I really do. He's been, what was it, 2 years ago, Ben? I think you told me a couple of weeks ago.
Made the cut in all 4 majors.
Made the cut in all 4 majors. One of the only golfers that year to do that. So obviously he is not scared of this environment. He, for me, I'd be shocked if he doesn't play all 4 days. And I expect him to be on the first couple of pages of the leaderboard. Seamus Power is getting a little bit of love. I don't see it. The form hasn't returned. I tried to play him a couple of weeks ago. He's pretty much all about putting right now. I'm okay fading and saying he won't play the weekend.
So the thing that I don't love about Seamus, because he's someone else who has stepped up in the biggest tournaments so far this year. He's made the cut of the Players, the Masters, and a top 10 at the PGA. But man, we're paying for it. 7,500 in a normal PGA event, okay. But this is a major, and that's a reach for me. So I don't mind the play. Not the priority for me, though. That's a tough ask. I like Seamus, but man, he is priced to the premium, unlike Sungjae Im, who's only $100 more.
One of the things that I put in my article and on my Twitter today, that the $15 contest, having Sungjae Im in your lineup is certainly going to be he'll be in the most lineups. So a direct pivot from him, a guy that I think you and I have struggled with this year, and it's because by and large he struggled this year, but a top 10 at the PGA Championship has me saying, well, if he beats Sungjae by 5 places, I'm going to love that. And I'm talking about Abraham Answer. Louis Oosthuizen is also the same price. Tyler, I'm sorry, I forgot to add these 2 guys to the list, but Ben, give me are they going to play all 4 days? Oosthuizen Answer, and do you like them as pivots off of Sungjae?
So Louis is one of the only guys I get to say this, and it's one of my favorite things to say. Does he play all 4 days? Probably not, but I do like him because that's just Louis. Like you never know what you're going to get. He's
one of the last times you're going to get to play him too. So
yeah, right. He's a direct pivot off Mega Chalk Sungjae, and Louis Oosthuizen comes out of nowhere in majors all the time. Yes. So I think that he's a big miscut risk, but you still play him if you want.
You got to play him in the 100. If you're making 150 lineups, you got to play him at 7,600. It was 9,000 we were playing this guy at majors last year. So.
And his form is not indicative of how he's going to play in the next week. We've seen that forever. Yeah, Abraham Answer's a little more tenuous to me. He is one of the worst around the green players in this range. He's lost around the green in 5 of 6 tournaments, in 9 of 11 tournaments. You start doing that around the country club, it's going to be a quick exit. That's my big concern.
Taylor Goosh is next in this range, 7,500. Probably the most surprising name to hit the Live Tour, but by and large, he's played good golf. He even played okay over there last week. So you okay firing him up? I mean, we can't play him much more after this. So that's right. I guess use him. I mean, he's been chalky pretty much every week, projected around 10% this week. So is he a big part of the week or just a small part?
He's definitely not a big part of the week, but it's not because I don't think he's playable. He's shown that he's a talented guy, and now he's probably quite rich. So good for him there, coming back, playing relaxed golf. But no, I mean, he made the cut at the Masters. It came in 14th, actually. I think he's the type of guy where you're in this range. Him, Keegan, Seamus, these are the decisions you're going to have to make if you're not going to Sungjae.
All right. Travis just asked a question in chat that I really like, and I try and talk to you about all the time. He asked, if you're playing one lineup, would you roll a chalk and go different in 1 or 2 spots? Here's exactly how I would handle it. One lineup. I would say, okay, who do I think is going to win the golf tournament? In the lineup, number 1. Number 2 is I'd pick my 2 top values that I believed were quality golfers that I think could at least have a chance at top 10 or a good chance. Joaquin Neiman, Tommy Fleetwood, Ben and I already talked about them. They would be my next 2 clicks. I'm not worrying about ownership. It's one lineup here. I believe that my process will lead me to an under-owned guy for that 1 or 2 spots that, again, we're talking about a one lineup thing. Again, this is probably going to bring me down into a range that we're talking about right now. And I would probably find my way into something like a Sepp Straka or Jason Kokrak. And it brings me up to my point. So yes, I guess in a way, Travis, we're going chalk, but it's selected chalk. It's the chalk that I like, not just playing Sungjae Im because he's going to be 50% owned, playing Tommy Fleetwood and Joaquin Neiman because I think they're better plays than the as chalky guys around them. So Do you have anything different to say about that? I mean,
No, I'm with you. I think there's a lot of different ways to do it. Certainly, part of it is contest selection, as always. But what I would say is, what I like to do is build like what I would say is a cash lineup, and then basically break it down and say like, okay, of all these really chalky pieces, I like these two. Now I got 4 spots to work with. Who do I think is going to win? Who's the guy that I'm highest on against the field that I want in there? Now you're down to two spots that you have to work in. Do I need under-owned guys? Can I just take best available? And then the lineup kind of pieces together like a puzzle. And then someone withdraws after lock and all that work goes down the drain. But for that little brief moment, you can picture what it's going to be like when you win all the money. So that's how I would let it fly in something like Drive the Green. Yeah, just build accordingly and try to give yourself a couple outs.
Sebastian Munoz making the player pool or weekend this week?
Not going to make the player pool. He's got a shot to make the weekend, but no, I think he's one of the guys for me. He's so volatile and he can really fill it up with the putter. But I still think that course like this, the US Open, he's played in 3, miscut, 59th miscut. He is a better player than probably those appearances, but I'm going to say it's a short week for Mr. Munoz.
Okay, Zach, by the way, in chat, that's a great point you just brought up. If this is a cash more oriented, a single entry contest, even the $4,000 Millie Maker, you're right, I'm probably looking at some JM, but if it's the $5 Drive the Green, I'm probably not looking at him. I'm making one lineup. I'm trying to win 50K from it. I'm not trying to min cash. I'll take some JM out of that lineup if that's the way the contest is going in. Okay, Webb Simpson is at 7,400. Just haven't seen the top end form. He's clearly hurt. We've seen him compete at U.S. Opens. We've seen him at this price level be an absolute slate breaker at the Open Championship when Shane Lowry won. So does he do that to us again? It looks like ownership isn't going to be 40% like it was there. So even if he does, it looks like he may not break the slate on us.
Yeah, it's not going to be like the Webb of old that just used to kill me time and time again. I do think he's getting better. And if you think that this course, I think there's an argument to be made that it's more forgiving off the tee than people originally anticipated. I think that guys like Kevin Na, Webb Simpson, Cam Smith, they would all get a major boost up from that. I'm not fully there yet. So I think he's playable in certain builds. He's certainly not a priority, though.
Yeah, not a priority for me either. Sergio Garcia will never be a priority for me ever again. Are you giving him a chance this week?
He is in the player pool. He's been struggling. I tried this at the PGA, and it really did not work with Sergio, but he's got the abilities off the tee where he's almost automatic. The rest of the game is not in great shape. It's a weak range. Henley is probably where people are going to look, but you've got Sergio, Scott, Reed. Like, to me, they fill different needs. Oh my God. Chad is out of control once again. Sergio.
You know what though? But I gotta love our guys just making a joke of it with us. I mean, it makes me feel all the much better. I'm like looking over my screen. What the hell is this?
Dude,
and I got Kyle. Kyle's gonna win the Millie and then join whatever these people are selling. So I love it. I mean,
if I ever find out the cause of these sex bots, I am gonna do terrible things because
reminds me of like the South Park things.
They're so annoying. Like, why? It makes no sense.
Okay. Why is Ben? What did I miss? This is the second person in our chat that's brought up Patrick Cantlay's questionable concern. What did I mean, I know he's got lingering issues, but nothing that's I've heard.
I have not heard anything either. So that is something that maybe is in the rumor mill. I don't know.
Yeah, if chat wants to verify where they heard something from, I'll be glad to look at it after this. But I checked every airwave and I didn't see anything on Cantlay.
So again, I'm not saying this is true. This is what I'm seeing on Twitter. It says Patrick Cantlay misses 2 practice rounds at Brookline due to personal issues. Status for tournament remains unclear via Sirius XM PGA Tour.
All 3 of my guys. Morikawa can't hit cuts, which is legitimately why he's on the PGA Tour. Spieth has got a stomach bug, and Cantlay hasn't been seen in Boston yet. Awesome. Sounds like a good week for me and my favorites. Maybe if I just have 0% of all of them, this will be the week that I win because I don't have to play any of them. Anyways, let's move on to Tom Hoagie, who I do actually think could have a solid week. He's also, I believe, made the cut in each of the first two majors. Definitely taking a step up in his career this year, winning the AT&T. And the thing about Hoagie is he's always been a great stat guy. Everything looks pretty solid. He just wasn't getting starts. He was in a bad, qualification on the PGA Tour. He's getting them clearly now. So 73 Hoagie, are you going in this week?
So I think that this is a guy that is the interesting evaluation because when you look long-term, you're just like, well, this guy, he's going to get swallowed up around the green. He can't do this. He can't do that. I think there's a real argument to be made that Tom Hoagie is not the same player and that his recent data is more indicative of who he is as a player in 2022. And that Tom Hoagie's not a bad around the green player. It's never going to be a strength, but he's an iron specialist. I think that can translate here. So if you think that guys can mask like Joel Dahman-esque who really struggle around the green, I think Tom Hoagie is in play for that reason.
I do too. I see it was the Sirius XM show mentioning missing a couple practice rounds. Does that matter? Here's the thing, Ben. Cantlay's irons have been a big problem this year. And he's going to need those here this week. He misclubbed a tremendous amount in the first 36 holes at Memorial. Got so lucky that he made the cut, honestly. He made a huge 25-footer to save for par when he was 2 over and reeled off 3 straight birdies after that by making another 20-footer, had one good shot, and then made another 20-footer. I'm a bit concerned. I was a bit concerned going into the Memorial about his iron play. I'm still concerned. The family matter thing, if it has nothing to do with him missing practice rounds, yeah, it might cost him a stroke or two, which may end up, taking him away from winning the event. But I think he'd be okay if there's actually nothing wrong with him personally. If his mom or father died or girlfriend or something died, well, maybe that's a different story, but he's not playing if that was the case. So.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I have no idea. Hopefully everything is all right. I'm not changing anything though. I mean, I was concerned with Cantlay to begin with, but I'm still playing him. I think that his non-major form has been good. We'll have to get word. I don't know. It's an unquantifiable variable. Obviously, if he doesn't play, that could be a problem. But
now, I know there's been a crypto crash, but is that, is this little uncertainties around players like causing people maybe not to enter as much?
We'll have to keep an eye out. I do think, though, again, and we'll never know, but if we get no word, there's going to be people who are like, I'm not playing Cantlay now, and his ownership is going to go down because of this.
Imagine Ricky Fowler wins his first major because Jordan Spieth withdraws and you and I can't roster him.
If that happens... If that happens, I don't even have anything clever to say. I will just be in more of a disturbed state than I'm already in. That would be really bad if that happens.
Sepp Straka has made the cut in each of the first 2 majors. Granted, he came in last in the PGA Championship. He's got a good all-around game when he's playing well. I actually don't mind him this week at all. He's in the player pool.
Yeah, Sepp Straka's he reminds me of Tom Hoagie in a lot of ways. He's improved around the green. He's improved as a player. He's won a PGA Tour event. He can handle majors. Now, do I think he's going to win? Absolutely not. But can he make the cut? Can he find the weekend? He's in the flyer pool with Mark Leishman, with Patrick Reed to an extent. Justin Rose is down there. He's a name that belongs in the discussion.
Tom Hoagie and Sepp Straka, 73 and 7,200. Would you have ever thought that they'd be priced above or the same as Patrick Reed, Adam Scott, and Gary Woodland?
I really didn't. And it just shows that it's kind of that never-ending discussion of long-term pedigree versus how guys have been in the last couple months in the last year, because there's no doubt that Adam Scott and those guys' resumes are going to stack up way better. But recently, it's not the case, particularly with Gary Woodland, who seems to not be able to rekindle that major form.
So Reed, Woodland, Scott, 3 big names, 3 household names, I would say at this point. Which of the 3 makes the weekend? Which of the 3 misses? And which of the 3 is most likely to top 10?
I would say that for me, Woodland would be the guy that I think struggles the most.
Okay.
Patrick Reed, because of his short game, I still think that
a short game battle. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if it's like, say it's crazy hard, Patrick Reed already is in the rough at every shot. He'll be all right. He'll be able to work in and out of that. So that's how I'd structure it. But there's no doubt that all three of these guys have legitimate, serious concerns with their game.
The other thing that I think will benefit these shorter hitters, we're going to talk about a couple that the chat mentioned in Brian Harmon here and Kevin Na in a minute or two, is it is playing firm or fast. And when firm and fast. And when that happens, these shorter hitters end up getting a lot more roll than they're used to seeing. So I don't think driving distance should come into play all that much this week in terms of, looking at it and say Brian Harmon or whomever can't drive it as far. So with that, Patrick Reed has really struggled with his distance. He's also struggled with his accuracy, but I'll pick Patrick Reed to answer my own question. Reed to top 10. Adam Scott has really struggled with his driver at times this year. So I'm going to put him in the miscut category and say that Woodland is able to, with how tough it will be on and around the greens for people this week. I'll say he slides through to the weekend, breaks that form a little bit. So, all right. In the low 7,000s, I've got a lot of names listed on the thing. We're not going to go through all of them. Why don't you give me your top two plays at 7,100 and below? And then maybe I'll come up with just a couple of names for our Make the Cut.
Yeah, I like it. So I'll say this. Brian Harmon is a guy that I have some exposure to in the betting markets as well as the DFS markets. He's making cuts at US Open, made 4 straight. He knows how to handle it. He gains without being long off the tee. He's a crafty putter. I like that. I think Alex Noren would be the other name for me. In theory, he should set up well for US Opens. He's got that type of game. I saw Chad ask about Lanto or Troy Merritt. Those guys, I see how you're getting there. They're going to be 1% flyers. They're not my preferred YOLO play, but I would have no problem with those names if you think that their skill set, because they only really have one, is what's going to determine the outcome of this tournament.
Yeah, Luke List, Siwoo Kim, other names down there. Your guy, Patrick Rogers, can he take his putting and his off-the-tee prowess and get through to the weekend here? Because if he does, he's a guy that can put up an eagle on that drivable par 4 that I mentioned, a guy that can score on the par 5s, and even if he comes in 55th, that $100 contest, he puts up 60 DraftKings points, and he could be in the winning lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I think when we talk about this range, you're going to find guys that do one or two things really well, and the rest is a disaster. If you think those are the two things that really translate, boom. And that's kind of the play. And we just got a super chat kind of alluding to that. I mean, those are all different ranges, but over on FanDuel, some of these guys are really underpriced. And you mentioned Aaron Wise over there as a play that you really like. And I'll give a quick shout out to some of these guys in that range. Like EVR is 8,200 over there as a flyer, Lanto 83. I think if you're playing in the big tournaments there, and Patrick Rogers only 8,000 flat on FanDuel. I'm okay with those as cheapies over there.
Yeah, me too. Definitely like a couple of names you mentioned for maybe 7K over on FanDuel. I would take Kurt Kitayama over most of the other guys, especially those DP2 World Tour guys. But I would probably give, if I had to go down to the 7,000s on FanDuel, I would probably give one more look to Wyndham Clark. That's at 7,400. If I really wanted to get aggressive there. Brian, thanks for the super chat. Again, if you want to go really aggressive, if you're playing 150, definitely in the player pool. If you're only playing one or two lineups, Brian, maybe I'd tell you to go up to the guys that we just mentioned. Sepp Straka's at 8,100, Pat Rogers at 8,000, that type of thing. But if you're playing 150, definitely throw Wyndham Clark in there as well. Okay, Slim, you just asked about Kurt Kitayama. He's going to be one of the guys that I want to ask Ben about. It's a trio of DP World Tour players that I'm going to throw Kitayama in there with. Victor Perez is the one of the other, and Ryan Fox completes the trio. All three of these guys have looked really good at times. Perez and Fox look really good right now. So who are you taking of those three to make the weekend?
Yeah, so we're going to see some rando Europeans pop up.
Padre Arnaud is also here. Yep, that chat just brought up. Yep.
That guy is also kind of interesting to me, no joke.
Sure,
and Thor, Bolison is the other one.
Thunder Bear, right? That's what
Thunder Bear. So I actually lean to the two that aren't on your list. with Arnu or Arnaz, however you pronounce it, and Thunder Bear. I do have a little exposure to them. But since we're kind of winding down, I'm just going to throw one more out if I can. Because he's a pseudo DP World Tour, and then he won. Lucas Hebert is a crazy around the green player. And we saw at API, he gained 15 strokes between around the green and putting. I know that's ridiculous, but he's gained around the green and putting. That's what he does. It's crazy. So I think you could look to him at 68.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, he wins the Bermuda, and all of a sudden he's on the PGA Tour. It just happens to like Garrett Higo as well. Molinari is the other name that was brought up. Yes. He is playing better golf. We know he's a major champion. Is this? Do we ride this out? He's made a decent amount of cuts in a row. So do we ride this out for a bit, or would you rather play Bear down there at 6,800 or Herbert, whatever you want to do?
I mean, I'm not a Molinari guy, as we know. He almost killed me. Toma, appreciate that super chat. Yes, Sadeki hopefully will not withdraw. I'm playing Molinari. I think that he sets up well. Another guy that off the tee is not strong, but I don't think it's going to kill you here if you can just keep it somewhat manageable. The rest of the game looks good. Make the cut at sub 7. Sign me up.
Our buddy Tokyo Swan, who is the biggest Billy Ho supporter on the streets, certainly as part of this chat, no doubt about it. He says Thomas the Tank Engine
guy
over all of those guys. I think we're a little early on the 19-year-old. I love his game. I watched him play. It's got a mixture of Siwoo and Sungjae in there. Obviously from South Korea, lived in Australia, New Zealand. I think this kid's going to be a good golfer. I don't know that he's got the Joaquin Neiman ascent in him, and that's kind of the age that he's at right now, 19, 20. Neiman missed his first couple of cuts in the majors as well, missed the cut at the Masters. Now he's a force in him. I think we'll get there with Kim, but we're not there yet.
Agree. I mean, more power to you if you can accurately judge that, but I am not going to back a kid. It's just a stretch for me to think that he can come out here and do it. I'd rather play some of these real slappies down here if I had to.
Are you looking at the chat right now?
What, got her up?
They're trying to make me go
back. I mean, I didn't play him to begin with, so it's a lot easier for me.
I played him last week, 10%, needed a birdie on one of the last 2 holes to make the cut, made bogey double or something like that.
Minwoo Lee, Harry Hall.
Neesmith. That chat just brought up. I'm interested in Neesmith.
Where is he?
6,800, I think.
68. Okay. Yeah. There's a couple names there that I already got to, so I don't need it as much. 6,400 is about as low as I'll go. You've got Harry Hall, Minwoo Lee, and Bo Hostler. Montgomery. Well, I'll put
Phil Mickelson has been brought up in the chat enough for me to ask you about him, but I'm going to say that both you and I are going to say he's going to be heading to Portland, Oregon on Friday or wherever the next live tournament is.
Phil looked broken. I'm sure he is broken. He's not broke yet. But no, I'm not playing Phil. Montgomery, Slim, I'll be honest. When you said Montgomery, I thought of Colin Montgomery to show you where I'm at. So
chat thought they were talking about David for the
so I don't know if Taylor Montgomery. I mean, again, the one thing I'll caution as we kind of talk about this, you need 6%, 5%. Don't play 30% of any of these guys. They're all going to be 1% owned. So you want to take a couple. Sure, for me, it would be Bo Hostler. I'll keep it pretty simple.
Okay. There's a number of guys like Sean Jacklin in the field this week. Now, Sean Jacklin, I understand he's the son of a major winner of Tony. I get it. I am Xing every single one of those golfers that we know nothing about. It's the United States Open. How many times, are they going to get inside the top 15 and help you win a millionaire maker?
The other part of it is there's going to be a random guy or two on the top of the leaderboard, maybe here or there. There's 60 of these guys. So even if one of them does do something, it's really hard to know if it's going to be that guy or Adrian Dumont de Chessar or Maxwell Moldovan. I hope it's that guy. That's a sick name.
That is Maxwell Moldovan.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that guy. Sounds like a UFC fighter who does crazy things, but apparently plays golf. I'm not playing anyone that we don't know exists. I don't do that. I would play Chase Seifert at the flat min if I had to.
Yes. All right. 2 more names. Chase Seifert is one of them.
and I pitched this to you a little bit before the show. If I'm playing in the $100 millionaire maker, I'm playing against 22,000 other lineups. If it allows me to get in, let's just say JT, Rory, and Neiman, right? Allows me to get all three of those guys in comfortably, and I think they're going to finish 1-2-5. Could Chase Seifert, if he makes the weekend, help me win the millionaire maker this week?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he unlocks permutations that are just different, and I don't see anything else down here. Now, Chad has brought up Richard Manziel, okay? Not Clint Manziel, apparently. That's the only Manziel.
And Johnny's brother?
No. Yeah, I know. There you go. You got Johnny. You've got Clint, for people who don't know, Requiem for a Dream composer guy. And this guy who's tearing it up, across the pond. No, I'm not playing him again. It's that same theory. If he beats me, I have to shake his hand. I think more often than not, it's a reach, to be honest.
Here's the thing. I think we've mentioned a lot of PGA Tour golfers that we've seen be very good at golf at times that are the same prices of these guys. And what is the odds of a Matthew Neesmith or even a Chase Seifert top 20ing versus some of these guys? So, Toma, thank you again for the super chat. Appreciate it. Geoff play or Spieth for the high tier 888. Oh, well, if Spieth is playing golf tomorrow, I like him more than him not playing golf tomorrow. But 888 for me, I would consider that my biggest buy-in. I would have to go to safety, and Xander would be more safe for me right now. And it's not like Xander's playing bad golf either. He's playing good golf,
Yeah, it would be Xander. Now I'll use this caveat. And if you're like, I love Sanjay and Fitzy and Burns, well, I don't think you should be playing Xander. I think you would probably have to roll the dice with Spieth, but not knowing those things, it would be Xander over Spieth.
Yeah, I agree there. Okay, the other guy I wanted to talk about is Scott Stallings. Now, why am I bringing him up? Because he grew up about a half an hour from the golf course. Now, never played here, but played a lot of his golf, junior golf in the area. Does that matter? Not really to me, but he has had a good season, and he's already came out and said that he's going to have a lot of fans out there from his early days. I'll have a little bit. He's in the player pool because of it. At 6,800, he's had a good enough season for me to say, all right, I'll give him a share or two.
Yeah, I think Scott Stallings is the type of guy that fits builds if you think that this could push near 10 under, 12 under, because he can score. I don't think that he can survive if it's brutal, but when you're playing guys sub 7, you're not going to be able to have that luxury. You got to just pick a narrative and roll with it.
Yep. Okay. We're up against 9 o'clock. So what did I miss?
Yeah, I know. I didn't mention Denny. Credit to Denny McCarthy. He played amazing at the Memorial.
Oh, yeah.
He is in play. I prefer Lucas Hebert, though. I'll say that much.
Oh, Chris, you're killing me. Spieth or Lowry. If you believe Spieth is healthy, I believe Spieth has more upside than Lowry right now at this golf course. But if you're concerned, it's your highest dollar buy-in, or you're only doing one lineup, I wouldn't be upset with you if you went to Lowry.
Yeah, I mean, those are really just good play. It's hard up top, to be honest, because they're all such elite players.
They are. All right, let's go to the betting card. First thing I want to mention, any way that you find the ability to short Bryson DeChambeau, that's what I'm doing. Every way that I've found the ability to do it. I think he is not even close to good golf. I hope he proves me wrong. I like Bryson, but maybe I like him less, even more now that he's just taking money. And then he talked about somebody talked about his lack of sex life. Ben, that's being actually brought up.
Sex bots, Bryson.
Yeah, sex bots, sex chat. I mean, that's what we're turning into, I guess, here. It is the late show. Bryson shorting, that's my big. Neiman, Zalatoris are my two, I would say, biggest outrights. Spieth, I don't have a choice unless he does actually withdraw. I have to stay with it. I'm looking to add Justin Thomas, who goes off in the afternoon, who was brought up on Twitter by some very sharp people in the industry. The number drifts as good players get into the lead. If Rory or Rahm starts off 3 under, Thomas will be 20-1 before he tees off. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'd like to take advantage of that. Add a Justin Thomas to the card. So that's where I'm at. I know that you give a lot of your picks on the OddsShopper. So
Give us your main pick, and then we'll turn people over there.
Yeah, certainly you can go check out the full card there, or in our premium, in Scholastic Discord, you go in there, you check it out. I've been dropping plays as well. I like Brian Harmon as like a top 40, a top 20. You're getting plus money on all those. And my favorite matchup, I will say this, I bet Fitzy against Sam Burns. Laid a little juice is like minus 125, but I think Matthew Fitzpatrick, despite being very popular, is going to play well here. I'm not in love with Sam Burns, as we know. I think that Fitzy has the decisive advantage in the betting market there.
Can I tell you that I think his cross-handed chipping will run into problems this week? I really think it will. Yeah, I think that what I've tried it just because I saw him doing it, and what I've noticed is that your hands get a little weak, and with this long rough that's expected around the green, I'm not even talking off the fairway, I'm talking about around the green, I think he may struggle a little bit. We saw it at the Memorial. He had 2 duffed chips, exactly like I'm talking about, trying to be too delicate. So just take an eye on that. Again, I'm not fading Fitz. I just don't know that he'll win because of that. I think he's playing
going to be Burns. That's all I care about.
And he's going to be Burns. That's for sure. All right. Where did my thing go here? Give me a second to pull it back up.
Because he's a live guy now. No, I can answer that for you. It's because he lost 9 strokes on the approach at Memorial. And I just don't know if Bryson's healthy, honestly.
Oh, is that? Oh, no. Tony, listen. This has nothing to do with Bryson being on the live tour. Bryson can't hit a fairway, which used to be his forte, is drive it 500 yards and find near the fairway. He doesn't know which way it's going. He lost strokes on something crazy on round 1. He lost strokes on 16 or 15 of 18 approach shots. You can't fix that overnight. And his around the green game has never been good. His putter's okay. If he gains 6 strokes putting the first 2 rounds, maybe, Tony, you're right.
Like everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see. It's a little late. You want to do a lineup build, or you want to give?
Yeah, we'll do one lineup. We'll give our hot takes. It's a major. We'll go for a couple more minutes. Let's build a quick lineup if you're game.
All right, let's do a $100 lineup. I've talked to this about. Let's see if we can.
We'll do it if we push over 100 likes. Sorry to cut you off. We got these numbers over 100. We'll put a lineup up there. Only a couple more likes. Let's do it. We got a lot of people in here, and we'll see if we can craft a Millie winning type lineup.
Yeah, 5 more, and we will give it. I will give, as we wait for it to bump up over 100. I'm going to give my parlay of the week. Now, our buddy Eton put it up last week. His top 20 round robin parlay on FanDuel. He ended up hitting at, I think it was like 6 of 8. It was very profitable. I know he didn't get the full parlay, but he got the round robin. That's how we like it. We're up to 111. So we are going to do a lineup. But I will give you my parlay. I love this one. Neiman, Rory, and JT, all the top 10, with Homa and Fleetwood to top 20. 98-1 on that one. That's my Homa breaking through. And then if you want to add Shane Lowry into the top 20 mix as well into that, 170-1. That is only offered on FanDuel right now. My crazy parlay of the week. Now we'll go back to building lineups. Thank you guys for bumping those likes up. Then I will give you the actual hot take. So, okay, let's make one as if we were entering it into the $100 contest. I think it sounds like you and I are both really on Rory this week. I think you and I are pretty much set on that. Second guy in, I think for me it's going to be Neiman here because of the problems with that middle 9 range of Cantlay and Spieth. I think Neiman would be my next guy. How about you?
Yeah, listen, the thing about the lineups like this, you can do a lot of different things. You could use Xander. You could be balanced. I think that Neiman fits a lot of builds. We still have north of 7,500 for the 4 remaining spots. There is nothing we can't do. I think it's very easy to get another 8K guy in there, whether it's Finau. You got Rory and Neiman, and then you've got, we could click Finau, Homa. You could click There's a lot you can do still.
Okay, so if I go Fleetwood, Finau, if I went to Sungjae here, let me just ask you this. If we went to Sungjae here, we're left at 7,100. Where do you think we'd have to go to avoid a 2v2? We may. The problem is, I think we're pretty close to a 2v2 here at this point. No matter which guy we take, yeah.
What are you? Who's the 4th guy?
Sungjae with Finau, Fleetwood, and Neiman.
Okay. Yeah. Sungjae with Fleetwood.
I think even if we went to like Harmon or even Lucas Herbert, I think maybe we're unique, but I think we're still at probably a 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be unique, but I would probably bounce, even though I really like Finau, I would probably bounce to Hatton or someone like that.
Okay.
Like maybe like Mito or Wise. And then do that, because then you're going to be unique. I just think the combination of Finau, Fleetwood, Sungjae, it's going to be tough, because Rory and Neiman aren't sneaking by anyone either.
No, exactly. So you want to go something like, instead of Finau, go down to a Pereira or a Wise. Okay, I kind of like the Wise here.
Okay.
All right. And then that leaves us 75, which, Keegan Bradley's there. We can drop down to the Tom Hoagie that we talked about.
Exactly.
Sebastian Munoz. If you had to give the one, because we know the chat loves to hear it, who would it be?
I'd actually roll the dice and go with like Tom Hoagie or Patrick Reed. Okay. Like someone like that. You leave two, even a guy like Leishman, Justin Rose. That's fine for me here. You've left a couple $100 on the table, and now you are really leveraged. You have a real path to victory. You still have a really solid core up top. And to me, your last man in there is a serious upside player. Like, those are guys that can give you a top 10, no doubt about it, if you get it right.
Yeah. How many times duplicated is Justin Rose and Tony Finau going to be adding that lineup in?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
that's going to be the most duplicated lineup. Yeah. So instead, you would say, if you want to use Justin Rose and you want to win $1 million by yourself, go down to Aaron Wise or Mito Pereira, right?
Or Usti.
Yeah, sure. Usti's there as well.
Always go to Usti.
Okay, I like it. I think there's a lot of variations. If you don't like Rose, you've got 400 left to spend. If you go down to that 7,800 level, I don't think there's another guy that you could pick with the salary you have that you're going to run into too many problems. So I like that. Okay, now let's build our $15 one, 220,000 plus entries we're going to go up against here. Let's be as unique as we possibly can. Again, this is where in the US Opens I have seen a 2-stud build really work. So
let's do it.
If it's Rory first, who's second stud wise?
Let's go Rory Rahm. I mean, that for me would be wild. They both play in the morning. It's going to get wild because we're going to have to go into the 6K range, but we can do it.
Let's do it. Let's go Lucas Herbert. If it turns into a total short game, I think this guy could do it again.
So we're trying to win, this is the $15. Yeah. I think we should put Molinari in there too.
Yes, of course.
This is a type of lineup I can get on board with. You've got 2 north of 10. You've got 2 sub 7K. You've already done some really weird stuff. Not a lot of people are going to do this. We still have 7,500 for 2 spots. A lot of ways to make this unique.
For sure. The pivots with Herbert and Molinari. So I think maybe we could add in maybe a little bit of chalk, that 7,300 range. Henley, Varner, Riley, if you had to pick one of those guys, or would you rather have Reed?
I would probably go with Varner. Okay. This lineup is starting to formulate as maybe a little more technical around the green centric, make some putts. You could go like Varner, Usti.
Fleetwood. I can't give up on Fleetwood here.
Yeah.
I don't think we have. I know we're not leaving any money.
That's
I don't
right,
think. With this, the expected ownership, it's below 70% is what I'm seeing. I don't think it's duplicated.
Yeah. Again, when you build for the $15, if it makes a lot of sense, you're not going to be alone. You got to do some weird stuff in that. And I think that's accomplishes that.
I think it does too. All right. We've had a lot of fun on here. Let's jump off. I did hold off one of these names. So here's my hot take. It's not scorching hot this week. It's not scorching hot because I think I already gave a few scorching hot ones. Yeah. My scorching hot take is one of Victor Perez, Ryan Fox, or Kurt Kitayama end up in the top 15 of the event and subsequently in the Millionaire Maker winning lineup, the $15 this week. That's Victor Perez, Ryan Fox, or Kurt Kitayama. That's how I'm going to leave it. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. We stayed a little bit later. Thank you all for hopping in and chatting with us. Ben, why don't you give them a scorching hot take to think about until lock tomorrow morning.
Well, scorching hot. Let's see what I can come up with here. We've got my man, one guy that we have not talked about for obvious reasons, because I truly don't know if he's even playable, but I did bet him at 19-1 for a top 20.
Ooh.
I think that Kevin Chappell might be all right here. Kevin Chappell is a guy that obviously has not returned to the form pre-injury. I don't know exactly where the game is at, but he's shown a little promise. He hit inside the top 20 at Corrales and Valero. I know that's not the US Open. Did you just hear that price though? I mean, for a splash, 19-1 for a top 20. I do think he can find the weekend. I do think that Kevin Chappell has that type of game. Most likely he's a miscut and irrelevant, but he is on the card as one of my wildest bets of the week.
All right, everybody. Again, thank you all so much for joining us here on the. Well, I'm used to saying Awesemo, but again, join us with our name change. It's very exciting here. We love to do this type of stuff. We are such an innovative company. Obviously, everything that we've done in the DFS and betting space is leading us to this name change. So stay with us through it. We really appreciate the support from everybody. So from the Stochastic Awesemo YouTube channel, thank you again for joining. This will be it for us. We're going to the Travelers Championship next week. A very good event, obviously not a major, but a very good and fun event. So we will see you all next week for that. Good luck this week. Somebody take down the Millionaire Maker. We'll see you on the other side, everybody. Cheers.